So for this week's module, Module 4, blog, Digital Identity, a couple key questions here that were asked to sort of provide a little bit more depth in terms of, exploring our own digital identity and analyzing various online technology-related behaviors and preferences. So some of those key questions that we're going to address in today's blog are, how is your digital identity different from your real world identity self, and how is it the same? Also, how does technology enable you to more fully express a specific dimension of your identity? Thirdly, how does technology govern, influence, or shape your identity? And also, how is your identity a product of the social and technological context in which you live? Also, going from there is, how is your online identity like a performance? Also, how is your behavior different when you know it is public? And lastly, how does your digital identity affect your sense of who you are as a person? So from the top, I believe, from my experience, my digital identity is very much the same as my real world self. I don't post status updates in the way with thoughts or feelings, but will comment with my opinion on certain issues, mainly geopolitical issues. I don't show off in any sort of way to try to make others believe I'm something that I'm not. So my digital identity, for the most part, is identical to my real world self. In terms of how to fully express a specific dimension of my identity, I think that normally during face-to-face with people, it becomes difficult to express all of your interests for the most part. So some of my friends on social media will know me in more detail than others, so things that I post in terms of interests will be well known to some and unknown to others. But by putting some of these interests in your background information on social media, it allows me to express myself in a more dimension through comments and sometimes debates as well. But so in terms of how technology will govern or influence or shape my identity, I think that technology has governed my identity in a sense that sometimes I will not always make my thoughts known on a subject because I don't see a point in getting into heated arguments related to politics, religion, or race. Social media, I think, is supposed to be social and fun in terms of influence. I don't feel that technology has influenced me in any sort of, way in particular. My thoughts are my thoughts, regardless of, social media. So for my digital identity, whether that's a product of social or technological context, I think my digital identity is relatively a direct product of my current social and technological environment. Who I am as a person and how I live isn't blatantly displayed via social media, but I am not engaging in any sort of deception or disguise as to who I am socially or technologically. So I'm exactly the same person as I am, via the internet and in real life. So, one of the key things I think in terms of identity like a performance on social media, a lot of people tend to, try to be other people, try to disguise who they really are. Either they're not happy with themselves or, they're ashamed or embarrassed of some sort. But I don't view my identity as any sort of performance since, I really don't post much, but I do encounter some friends that try to enjoy making their life seem, I'd say, more glamorous. So this appears to be their way of maybe performing for the masses in order to garner, as many likes and comments to boost their ego. I think, this is something that I sort of discussed in the last blog, was the narcissistic approach of, people feel a certain self-worth if they get, more likes and more comments based on what they post, and that sort of makes them feel good and could drive their reason for posting in the first place. But in terms of my behavior different when I know it's public, I don't really think that anything sort of changes there because I tend to know, I think, what should and shouldn't be posted. So, my digital identity is very much the same as real life. From the video posted, through the announcements that you've put on here, Professor, discussing aliases and fake identities, I really don't worry about creating a separate persona. I'm not a racist terrorist, nor do I complain about the workplace in any post or comment. So I really don't, see a benefit in being in disguise. I think for young children, this is a good approach given the environment with older adults preying on children. But, for me, one of my requirements for friends on social media is that I know them personally on some level. So whether it be people that I worked with in the past or high school or college friends or friends that I've acquired over the years, I really don't accept, friend requests from people that I don't know. So with that being said, the people that interact with me, the real me, so my behavior is very much the same. So I don't feel that, I need to be in disguise in any sort of way or, censor myself, so to speak. So lastly, in terms of, digital identity and how it affects my sense of who I am as a person, I think who I am as a person is identically in line with my digital identity. For those that maybe engage in questionable behavior online would probably identify with a separate digital identity. So, I am generally consumed with, my young family, with work, with gaining my education. So my time on social media is very limited to construct a digital identity separate from any analog version that I currently have. And this concludes my blog. Thank you and have a good day.